MidiEnglish, using the whole, part, whole teaching approach. Midisaurus English is an English kindergarten program for children of 3 to 6 years old. Midisaurus English adopts the whole, part, whole approach, a teaching approach that facilitates the learning of new knowledge and skills. The approach is fairly simple and easy to understand, and it has been adapted and used in many different subject areas and learning situations. In language learning, using the whole, part, whole approach, sentences or text are introduced before vocabulary words are learned. It is in contrast with the more traditional approaches like the teaching of vocabulary words first before sentences are introduced, or just reading a story. Why is Midisaurus English designed based on the whole, part, whole approach? We know from experience that if we see the complete or whole image of a jigsaw puzzle first, it would be easier for us to fit the pieces together. Why? By looking at the whole, we have a context or framework upon which we can fit the pieces together. Likewise, when learning to swim, the swimming instructor swims and shows how a particular swimming style is executed. When the learner is then taught the individual swimming strokes, he is better able to perceive and learn as he has an idea of what the end result would look like. Following the principle and belief that wholeness and context gives meaning to a person's learning experience, we design Midisaurus English based on the whole, part, whole model of instruction. Midisaurus English starts with the whole, shared reading, to give the context of learning and an overview of what is to come. This sets the stage for learning. Whole, shared reading. Students are invited to read whole sentences first, to process language from the whole in order to gain some basic familiarity and knowledge. Part: vocabulary, spelling, and grammar. As we know, the whole cannot be truly understood without an understanding of the individual parts. At this stage, we deconstruct the whole and focus on the part. Language skills like vocabulary, spelling, and grammar that can be taught separately. To help students practice and gain proficiency in these language skills, vocabulary, spelling, and grammar, they are invited to work on a variety of activities using multimedia games, activity sheets, posters, word cards, and app activities. Whole. Application. When the students have learned the language skills in their parts, they return to the second whole, application of knowledge, which allows them to practice their newly acquired language skills. Reading. Reading now is even more meaningful for the student, as he now knows the meaning of the words that he might not have known or understood when he first started to read. Students are also encouraged to practice their reading using the speech recognition activity that is available in the home learning app. Writing. Constructing sentences. In the classrooms, students work on activity books and begin to construct whole sentences using the target language structure learned. Speaking. Apart from reading and writing, children are also given opportunities to apply their newly acquired language skills in speaking exercises. For example, in this exercise, students are given an exercise to interview their classmates by asking, "Can you?" and receiving answers like, "Yes, I can," or "No, I can't." Students are also given opportunities to recreate sentences. In this exercise, the student is to design a piece of clothing or accessory. He can describe it using the phrase, "That's a nice dress," that he has just learned. To complete the exercise, he could, for example, draw a hat and say, "That's a nice hat," to make a comment using the same language structure learned. Listening and speaking. In the lesson guides, games are suggested to extend learning. Students are encouraged to listen and speak the target language structure. In this case, to put on a piece of clothing or accessory, or take off a piece of clothing or accessory. On returning to the whole, students now have a clearer and more sophisticated understanding of how the parts fit together to form a complete whole. They have moved on from the receptive skills of language acquisition, listening and reading, to the productive skills of language acquisition, speaking and writing. As students are given more opportunities to apply their English language skills in the whole stage, they will gradually gain more confidence and proficiency in using the English language. In summary, whole. The first whole sets the stage for learning. The Midisaurus English classroom starts with shared reading to allow students to process language from the whole, thereby gaining some basic familiarity and knowledge of what is to be learned later on. Part. The next stage focuses on the study of the parts of the whole. Here, the teacher deconstructs and focuses on the language skills, in this case, vocabulary, spelling, and grammar, that can be taught separately. At the same time, the first whole now serves as a reference point for learning. Students can always link back and forth, the part to the whole or the whole to the part, when learning new knowledge, thereby helping them to have a deeper impression and clearer understanding of the subject matter. Whole. Finally, students return to the whole again. Application of knowledge. This allows them to move on from the receptive skills of language acquisition, listening and reading, to the productive skills of language acquisition, speaking and writing.